machine says this person
Destiny,
is never going to wake
you're coming
up.
up with a magical scenario that you are designing without providing any context.
Just to be clear, are you telling me that a person being in a coma is not going to wake up is a magical scenario?
No, I'm telling you that when
okay, so we
people
agree
are
that
in a
people
coma,
are in
you're trying
comas
to
and
make it
oftentimes we can
Destiny.
say...
Guys,
You're
please,
trying to make it
one
Let me
microphone at a
answer.
time,
Please.
please.
Because the refusal to engage with the
Let me
question
answer.
demonstrates the weakness of your position.
No.
You can keep doing this, but
Destiny.
to be clear, I'm going to ask the same question again.
I still like to get my question answered.
Wait, guys,
you can't even
please,
engage with the
just no
hypothetical. There's a
You're
reason
not
why.
listening to what I'm saying.
I
So
am listening, but you're not.
okay.
You're refusing to engage with the hypothetical because you know that you don't have a rock solid
No,
definition of
because
what type of life
you're-
should be defended. The
because
reason why
we
you want to
did
engage with
it.
the question
guys,
is
hold on.
You're making a lot of assumptions.
Order in the podcast studio. I am noticing perhaps on I don't know which side is doing it most, but let's try to avoid interrupting. Let's allow people to speak, finish their thought, and then if we can. So Destiny, do you want to make
a round table? One question we each answer.
Okay, to be clear, I'm willing to, and I have responded to when you asked me about feeding cancer patients, what I said killing. I said yes. You said when you withhold food from a child, I said I'll answer any question you give me. I have no problem.
Answer
my
the
position,
question, have you ever considered that you may be wrong on this issue? And if you are wrong on this issue, what does it mean you are spending your time advocating for?
There's problems on both sides. First of all, that's not the greatest question to ask. You're getting into very weird, like Pascal's way. I'm going to finish answering the question, okay? So
just answer the question.
I am answering the question, okay?
After you insulted me.
What do you mean, how have I insulted you?
Insulted me.
Wait, how did I insult you?
My question. You said, well, it's not the greatest question to ask.
I said it's not a good question to ask because theoretically you run into a bunch of weird areas saying, well, what if
Maybe
I'm
you don't
wrong on
wanna
this particular
answer the
thing?
question.
What
Have
if
you
you're
thought
wrong
about
by
that?
saying that black people and white people do deserve the same rights?
Well,
Like, what if we're trying-
let's let Destiny answer the
Sure,
question.
yeah. So
Go
I mean,
ahead.
there's like, so I'm not going to always think of like, well, what if I'm wrong? I mean, I do consider both ends of things, but the consequences for being wrong on both ends are pretty disastrous. On one end, you're advocating for, I guess, arguably the genocide of like of little babies,
That
and on
seems
the
pretty
other
awful.
end, sure, and on the other end, you're advocating forcing women to give birth to children that they might not want, especially in cases of, say, sexual assault or in cases where they feel like they can't
It's
support
not
for their
for-
child.
What do you
Not
think
forced
is?
birth, Destiny.
What do you think
Abortion-
would be worse? Genocide. We had 60-some million abortions in America since Roe versus Wade. 60 million. More than 1,000 children are killed every day at Planned Parenthood.
You keep saying children like you're
Yes,
morally
they are.
loading your.
Children.
They're young
Yes.
humans.
Okay.
When you saw the
abortions-
ultrasound of your son in the womb, did you say, "Wow, look at that fetus sucking its thumb," or did you say, "Wow, look at my boy, he smiled at me"?
Yeah, I also get warm feelings when I look at my car. Like, this isn't proving an argument
Are you
by
saying
saying
cars
like,
are
do you
the
have,
same as humans?
I'm not saying cars. I'm saying that judging the validity or the veracity of your argument by the emotional response somebody has to an ultrasound. I also felt a certain type of way when my ex-girlfriend showed me that she was pregnant. But that doesn't mean that the urine on the strip is anything special either, right?
Your emotions can match
Just
the
to be
reality.
clear, I still
and
haven't
the
gotten
re-
an answer to my coma
and the-
question,
and
which
the-
is like
I still
fundamentally
haven't
like an
gotten an answer
important.
to my
well,
question.
the reality.
What was your question?
So, do you consider you're wrong? And you said,
I
well,
have
on
considered
one,
I'm wrong, but the
on
problem
one
is,
end
hold
it
on,
would
let
be
me, yeah, hold on,
genocide.
just let her finish.
On
yeah,
one
she's
end, it
gonna
would
say the
be
same thing, yeah.
genocide, and on the other extreme, if I were wrong, I would have forced women to carry unwanted children, or in your word, fetuses or things.
Correct.
What do you think would be worse?
Well, in order to answer
Genocide
that,
of hundreds of millions of
innocent
children
babies, yeah.
worldwide. Do you think that would be a little worse?
The thing is,
than inconveniencing a woman for 9 months if I were wrong?
In order to accurately answer the question, you have to assess the risk of being wrong on both ends. For instance, if I were to say, what would be worse? If I've got to choose between 50 people here or 100 people here to protect from some death event, what should I choose? The 50 people or the 100 people? Well, it doesn't make sense unless I have
What do you mean by death event?
As in, let's say that there's going to be something that has a chance of coming in and killing both people, but I can protect one group of people. Do I want to protect the 50 or the 100?
But that's not
I
correct-
need to finish
it's
the
not a
analogy.
correct
Hold on.
analogy.
If you can't understand any hypothetical, we can't get anywhere in this
But these
conversation.
hypotheticals don't match what we're discussing,
The hypothetical perfectly
Destiny.
maps on. What I'm saying is, I wouldn't just say that I would protect the 100 people because 100 is greater than 50. What I would say is, what is the probability of the 100 people dying versus what is the probability of the 50 people dying? And then from there, you would start to weight the decision accurately.
So hundreds of millions of women haven't died.
When you
and they
ask
won't
me,
die from
so
being
when you
pregnant.
ask me, so
Pregnant.
when you ask me, what's the probability or what is the likelihood of being wrong, or what would be worse, being wrong here or being wrong here? What I have to think of is what is the probability of being wrong on both ends. It's not just a 1-to-1 because I'm not going to sit here and pretend that everything is a 1-to-1, like there's an equal chance of being right or wrong here. I feel very strongly about my position about being pro-choice, so I'm not weighting this as a 50% chance of being right here and a 50% chance of being right here. So the question doesn't make sense. So I'm saying it's a meaningless question.
How do you feel very strongly about being pro-choice when you can't even tell us at what point you think a child has this extra special consciousness that deserves the right to life in the womb?
Why would that
when
prohibit me
you
from?
don't know when consciousness exists, when it actually comes.
You won't
don't
even
know
say
when
when it
the baby
exists.
has
I've given you the
consciousness.
range of when different people develop at different rates. It's about 20 to
So,
24 weeks.
so you want to create, so you believe that we should have a sliding scale of what it means to be a human person.
We already have that sliding scale. We do it at death. That's why when we go back to
So,
the, I'm going to
Stephanie,
ask
do you
again.
think
No,
it's
I'm not
okay?
answering the question until you
Do you think
answer
it's
this
okay
question.
to kill someone when they're unconscious?
No, because I